here's the rough sketch for my next painting, and I'm working today on developing the background colors for this. Since the flowers in her hair are marigolds, I sort of want to keep it in the yellow and orange family, but I don't want to use too dark of a color of orange for the background because I want these flowers on her crown to really pop. So my current plan of attack is that this yellow is going to be the circle around her head and the skulls, and this yellow is going to be the total background color, so all of this in between the circle and the skulls and everything that goes around her. And then this sort of pale yellow-orange is maybe going to be marigolds. I'm actually going to cut a new one of these that's slightly smaller, marigolds along the background, so sort of a subtle pattern. But I'm a little concerned that these colors are too closely related and that I won't really get the definition that I want. So I'm going to do a test on this. So my current plan is that I'm going to paint the whole background yellow and then lay the template for the circle and on and tape it to the canvas, and then use this stencil, which is going to be a little arc like I did with La Patrona. So I'm going to stencil with this darker yellow, which will leave behind the paler skulls. So I think I'm doing the right thing here, but I just want to be sure. So I'm going to lay on a base coat of this yellow, which is actually quite a bit brighter than I thought it would be. And then once this dries, I'm going to throw down a skull stencil and stencil around it in the next shade and see if that works. I'm kind of thinking that this is maybe too bright though, so maybe I want to switch to something that has maybe white mixed in with this. I don't know, we'll see. So here's my page base coated, and I really think this is too bright. So I did a second, which was the same color thinned out with the same amount of white, and I think that is also too bright. This is more what I had in mind, very pale yellow. So this is this one thinned out with half white. So I think that means it's 1 part yellow, 3 parts white. So that's the one that I think I'm going to use, and this is what was left of it. So it's very pale, and I'm going to save this, minus the sponge, to help me match the color when I mix it up. So I can put this away, and the next thing I want to do is test my stencil and see if my next color is the right choice. So I'm just going to put it on there so I get a couple of skulls stenciled, and I'm probably not going to get a very good impression because this stencil has been sitting around for a while and it's rolling up, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. So this is my next yellow color. Fortunately, I have a whole another bottle of that already, because I know I'm going to use a lot of it. This is kind of my favorite color. And I'm just going to do a little bit of stenciling. I can tell already that I like this. Let's just see if it gives a good impression. I want it to be pretty subtle. I showed La Patrona, the last painting. I did a skull stencil halo like this on at a show recently, and one of the other artists came up to me and said, I looked at that painting probably half a dozen times before I realized that that was a halo of skulls around her. I love that. So I want this to be really subtle. I don't want it to beat people over the head. And my dogs are going crazy. So now that I have all that stenciled, I can go ahead and paint the rest of this page with yellow. And this is also helping me work out how I'm going to layer the various elements onto the canvas. So I know I'm going to do this, and I'm probably going to paint part of the page yellow and then project the image. So I'm probably going to put the circle on, stencil the skulls, and then paint the upper section yellow, but leave the lower section the pale color so that I can project the image onto it and use that paler yellow as the base color for this figure. So, and I really like this sort of uneven yellow that I get from this paint. This is one of the reasons that it's one of my favorite paint colors, is that it has so little pigment in it that it always ends up being a little uneven and blotchy. Oh, and I really like that. So I'm going to let this set up, and then I'm going to stencil a couple of test marigolds to see if my next color is right. So now I'm going to stencil marigold and see if this third color works. I'm worried that there won't be enough contrast between these two colors for the marigolds to show up well. But that looks pretty good. So now I have my three colors and I can get to work on the canvas.